Thanks for tuning in. My name's Tony, and in this video I'm going to show you how to change the oil in your Expedition. This one happens to be a 2012. It has a 5.4 in it, and it should cover pretty much a lot of the Expeditions with the size motor. Some of the earlier ones may have the oil filter location in a different spot, but you can kind of improvise a little bit and maybe adapt some of the basic steps shown in this video to your application if it's a different year. So follow along. Hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and if you have a question, leave a comment. I'll reply back to you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss anything. Let's roll. Okay, so you're going to need a funnel, some gloves, a 16mm wrench, at least that's what was on my truck, for a bolt on the oil pan, an oil filter wrench. It helps if you have like a chock for the wheel, the rear tire, use the emergency brake. You should have 7 quarts of oil. There's 5 in the big jug and 2 small quarts. Should take 520. Double check your owner's manual, make sure. Oil pan, couple of ramps. If you don't have ramps, you can use jack stands. I like to use the ramps, it's just easier, and you don't have to really worry about it digging into the hot top if it's a warm day out. So let's get going on the video. Okay, always remember to engage your emergency brake. If you have something to chock one of the tires, one of the rear tires with, that would help as well. Let's put that under there. Either put the vehicle on jack stands, look at the owner's manual for recommended safety points in your vehicle, or what I like to use are a set of ramps that you can pull the vehicle up onto. It's a lot easier. In my eyes, it's a lot safer because it doesn't tend to dig into the hot top on a hot day, and it'll give you enough room to get under like the vehicle right there on like a creeper or on your back or something like that. And listen, the oil filler cap, loosen it, kind of set on top so nothing falls down in it. Oh, Canada. Little hockey humor for you. Let's roll back into the oil change video. Okay, so you're going to put your oil catch can into place, or basin, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to take your 16mm wrench, at least on my truck it's a 16mm wrench, and loosen up the plug on the oil pan, and that'll drain the oil out. So let's grab your wrench, and loosen up the drain plug. Crack it loose, and once the bolt is loose enough, you go to turn it out by hand. This is in there kind of tight, which you need to crank on these. I don't know, I just bought this truck not too long ago. It's my first oil change on it. But when you put these bolts back in, you just want to snug them. You don't have to crank on them. People like to crank down on these, and you don't have to. Just make sure they're snugged up. Alright, I'll let that drain out. Alright, so once the oil has drained out of the pan, put your bolt back in. Screw it in by hand. Don't tighten it up with a socket if you're using a socket and a ratchet. You want to catch those threads by hand so you don't cross through anything, then that'll really ruin your day. And you'll be in the tap in the pan if that happens, redoing the threads. So just take your wrench or your socket if you're using that and kind of snug it back up. Gloves are kind of have some oil on them here, so it's making them slippery. I'm gonna wipe them off in a minute. So once you have the bolt snug, just tighten it a little bit. You don't have to crank on it. You don't want to do that. All right, now let's go get that oil filter off. I'll show you guys what's up with that. So now we're ready to take off the oil filter. So when you take the oil filter off, you want to position your oil catch pan, directly under the filter. So when the oil kind of falls down, it goes right into your oil catch pan. So before you try to loosen this with the wrench, you can try it by hand. In a perfect world, you're supposed to be able to loosen these up by hand because you put them on by hand, but they sometimes be a big pain in the rear end. So more often than not, you need to use a wrench. And shouldn't take too much effort to break it loose. So just try to be careful of your radiator hose. You don't want to nick that, cause a leak. So now you're ready to put your oil filter back on. So before you do that, you want to first, on the oil filter you took off, make sure, double check the oil filter, make sure that this black gasket is attached and it's not attached to the housing for the oil filter, because if this came off the filter, it's attached to the oil filter housing, it's going to cause a leak. So, take your oil filter out. What you're going to do is you're going to take some clean oil or a little bit of oil that just came out, put some oil on this gasket, and what this will do is it'll help to prevent it from sticking to the oil filter housing that you screw it onto. So it'll help to lubricate a little bit. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is take a brand new oil filter and screw it back onto the oil filter housing right here. And we're gonna put it on and tighten it by hand. Don't put a wrench on it. You don't need to crank down on it. It should be tightened by hand. Because if you over tighten it, it could cause a leak. It'll squash that gasket down too much. Or when you go to take it off next time, it'll be such a pain to get off. It'll be kind of hard to do. So hand tight should be good. And we've got our bolt in the oil pan. Get the filter on. Let's go up top and we'll put some new oil in it. Okay, so take the oil cap off. Then grab a funnel, make sure that there's no debris inside your funnel. I just like to wipe them out with a paper towel. Put the funnel in and grab some oil. This motor should take between 6 and 7 quarts of oil. Kind of hold a lot. So I usually like to put in like about 6, check it, and then we'll adjust from there. So we've got our 520 Mobile 1. So I'll pull this in. You have to love these big jugs, it's so much easier. I bought all this motor oil at Walmart. It's pretty inexpensive. I think at the time of the video, this 5-quart jug was like almost like 23 bucks. So it's like $22 and some change. Got one in. I'm gonna get another one. Remember, you want to check the vehicle on a flat surface. So if you have it way up in the air like I do, you're gonna have to take it off the jack stand so it's a little bit more level. You don't want your reading to be thrown off on the oil indicator, on the dipstick rather. So there's 2. But before we move it, let's take out the funnel. Put the oil filler cap back on, and then you only have to let it run for a second. You don't have to let it run for a long period of time at all, just like 5 to 10 seconds, just enough to back it off the stands. Okay, so I lowered the check off of the ramps that I had on. So let's check the oil level, and then what you're gonna do is gonna take the dipstick out, wipe the oil off, make sure all the oil is off so you get a proper reading. Put it back in the dipstick tube, pull it back out, and then We're like down around like here. So let's add another quart to this. And we should be right on. Okay, so I put 7 quarts of oil in, and it's just a hair below the full mark. So that should be fine. Okay, so when you're all done, what you want to do now is start the truck, let it run for like a minute, check under it, just kind of get on a knee, look under it, make sure that nothing's leaking. Shut the vehicle off, check it one last time, make sure the oil is still back up to level, and you should be good to go. So I hope you liked the video. Hope this helps you out. If you want to subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you have a question, leave a comment, and either myself or one of the other viewers on our channel, subs, will get back to you. We'll reply back to your comment. Thanks for watching.